My name is Pastor Megan, and I am at Grace Lutheran in San Francisco. And I remember a time when I was sleeping in front of the church to investigate claims that angry neighbors had about how the homeless were misbehaving in front of the church and demanding that we do something about it. And I was in a sleeping bag and felt very tough. I'm a black belt. I had been a homeless minister for a really long time. I felt like I had some street cred, tattoos and piercings. And throughout the night, my confidence slowly faded away. I realized in a sleeping bag, your hands and your feet are bound together, and it's not very helpful to be a black belt. And all of the stories that I had heard while eating with the homeless trickled into the back of my mind. And I thought about the dangerous things that had happened to them on the streets, and I started to become afraid. And then I thought about the things that happened to female-bodied people on the streets, and I became even more afraid. And so I pulled the hood of my sleeping bag over my head. I decided, as long as no one could tell what I looked like, I was just another huddled body in San Francisco, and there were a lot of homeless people. So as long as no one touched me, I would be fine. And so I finally fell asleep, and about 2 a.m, something touched me. And I tried to figure out, is it better to look and see what's happening? And I thought, well, as long as it doesn't touch me again, I'll be fine. And it touched me again. And so I slowly crept out of my sleeping bag to a homeless man with wild eyes and crazy hair, full-blown paranoid schizophrenia, a man named Dominic, cackling at me, laughing his head off that I was afraid, because he had only known me as the confident pastor. And he was putting a blanket on me. And he was so excited because he said I had given him so many blankets during the cold nights that he had slept out on the streets. And he had never been able to give me one until that night. And I knew as he was doing it that that was my most pastoral moment. To be able to be vulnerable enough to receive care from someone who normally doesn't get to give out of love and faith. And I had read about the priesthood of all believers, and I had baptized babies and declared it every time that we're all a part of this diverse priesthood. And it wasn't until Dominic gave me a blanket that I truly knew it in my body. And my hope, as we remember the Reformation, is that everyone will be able to know it, not from fear, but out of joy that God loves them.